AI is all over the news these days, thanks to ChatGPT primarily. Everyone seems to be completely sideswiped by the idea that this amazing AI is doing all these super duper things that's got tons of hype everywhere. The AI Advantage on YouTube has said that there are seven, count them, seven non-hyped things in the AI space that are bigger than ChatGPT. Now, for some of you, that may sound scary. To me, I think that sounds awesome. AI, I believe, is going to be something that's very important as far as being used in the immediate future. But more importantly, it's a big part of blockchain. And why is that? Because AI, in terms of the data it receives, needs to ensure that the data it's receiving is actually true, is verifiable. And so the AI's input and its understanding of things is only as good as the garbage it gets. Garbage in, garbage out. The AI Advantage sees that there's seven others out there. I'm going to look into these and I'll give you my thoughts on whether I think they're bigger than ChatGPT or not. If I think they're even going to be trends, maybe they're going to die soon. Who knows? Anyways, let's get into it and see what these seven big trends are.
Here's my list of 7 AI predictions that will unfold over 2023. And the first one comes from a currently nascent giant in the space, Meta/Facebook. It's no secret that they've been struggling over the past 2 years. With their refocus to the metaverse and not much to show for it yet, they're falling behind a lot of these other tech companies that own the platforms that the internet is happening on today. And that's why they need to keep up in AI here. They can't just watch from the sidelines. That is very clear. And they have definitely been working behind the scenes here. One thing I want to show you is the next big thing in AI once it's ready. It's AI generated video. I mean, it only makes sense. Now we're able to generate images and text, and all video is 24 images per second. Now, obviously, it's exponentially more complicated than images, but now that we have images, it's not unthinkable anymore, right? So here's a Verge article where they showed off some of their AI generated videos that their very own in-house AI is producing. Are these amazing? No, and that's why they're not public yet. This is just a glimpse of the future. But I personally can't think of a bigger game changer for the content creation industry than this feature coming out. Stock footage? Why would I ever use that again if I can custom generate every single clip I need with a few clicks? Now, to be fair, we might not see this in 2023 yet because it's just so early and this is a very hard problem to solve. But I do think they'll be rushing to market with some AI product and maybe we'll see early demos. But what we see already, and most people don't know about this, is this diplomacy bot developed by Meta/Facebook. So the funny thing about this one is in all the tests, it can outmaneuver people in a complex game like diplomacy where it's always about finding compromises and giving something up to achieve your goals. And the whole thing is about predicting humans' next moves, as maybe a computer would do when it plays chess. The funny thing about this is, in the game of diplomacy, there is no constraints or rules like chess, right? Or very little. So keep your eyes open for Meta coming out with game-changing technology here, because as you might know, one of the most valuable things in this game is the data set you train the AI on, and Meta has one of the most interesting and unique data sets in the world. Between Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, they know a lot more about human behavior than maybe any other company in the world.
Before he gets into the next one, I just want to have a few words on that. AI generated video definitely is a good trend, and I think that's definitely going to grow. In terms of what comes from Meta, scares me a little, to be honest. As far as what they know about people, it's hard to tell whether you can consider that kind of data to be really about people, because we already know that the algorithms manipulate the way people are reacting to things. So I don't know. The whole thing has been set up for commercial purposes, and like in terms of like how Meta works, right? Like in terms of like the company, they're only designed to sell ads, and so they set things up for those purposes. But in terms of like generating video, yeah, I think the AI could be quite useful for that. And yeah, it is very early, so you can see he striked it straight from being out this year. Obviously, don't know if you've seen it or not. But if you look around, you could probably find fake Tom Cruise. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but fake Tom Cruise is a really scary example of what could be done with being able to generate AI-generated video to fake a real person, right? Fake Tom Cruise is actually completely generated and rendered by somebody who isn't Tom Cruise. He goes around all these places pretending to be Tom Cruise. He even sounds like Tom Cruise, okay, which is crazy. It's amazing because at some point, the company that created it, I can't remember the name of the company, but they actually had the PR firm for Tom Cruise reach out to them because they were a little concerned about this. But in the end, the PR firm actually allowed it. which is interesting. Now we've got fake Tom Cruise running around and real Tom Cruise, and we can't tell the difference, right? So the real challenge with this AI video isn't the fact that AI video is coming or that it's going to take care of not having to deal with stock footage and things like that. But the fact is you're not going to be able to tell what's real and what's fake. Ugh, that's scary. The verity of the information is going to become more important. So as far as AI video is concerned, yes, it's coming. What's going to be important for that is to be able to have it tied to blockchain so that we could be able to have decentralized identification of the things that we're seeing and knowing whether it's real or fake, right? Could see a kind of a modern day War of the Worlds kind of situation happen where there's going to be this broadcast of aliens invading or something. No thanks. Anyways, once again, and I've said this before in my previous videos, I think that this will be fake until verified, is going to be the going trend. And in this case, this gives you even more reason to consider it all fake until verified. So let's keep going and see what the rest are.
Thing that already started happening is this copyright mess that we got ourselves into with all these AI tech. The way these models function is that they learn from a bunch of data, and then there's a layer of human interaction that teaches the code what's good and what's less good. But the fact remains that at the end of the day, every single one of these outputs is just a remix of some other data. And with art, this is getting a lot of people pissed off, and rightfully so. Imagine all your life you've been perfecting your craft, and then you develop a unique style, and all of a sudden this thing reads it, and just by including your name, it can create infinite amounts of work just in the style that you've been developing all your life. Well, that really sucks. And some people are standing up and protesting already. As in this example that popped up a few days ago, a bunch of artists got together and are targeting Midjourney with a copyright lawsuit, as they're claiming that all their outputs are plagiarized from other artists' work. But then also everything I'm saying right now is kind of a remix of everything I've heard and learned throughout my life, right? But on the latter example, we have clear regulations and laws in place that govern this. With AI, not so much so. So this year is going to be very messy when it comes to fleshing out some of these laws. So just be extra careful whenever you use AI output, and just be aware that some of these rights could maybe be retroactively took away from you. But honestly, this topic touches the art and imagery side more than it does text. Just be aware that's something that is happening. But now let's talk about GPT-4. Now this was a massive story over the past few weeks, right? This data is not confirmed, by the way, but it has been going viral all over socials. So on the left, you can see GPT-3, the model that ChatGPT is based on. It's GPT 3.5, but essentially this is how many data points it's based upon right now. And on the right, you can see how much information GPT-4 consumed to be trained. A metric ton squared more. So is it going to be that much better? We don't know. Is this accurate? We don't know. None of this has been confirmed by OpenAI, but the fact is GPT-4 is going to use all of the data that we have been inputting into ChatGPT on a daily basis. I mean, heck, just with the amount of experimentation I've done myself, they're going to be able to train one hell of a content creation bot. But again, I always just use it as inspiration. Just like every video, I'm free-flowing off a few bullet points here. All I do is use it for research extensively. But the point being, GPT-4 is going to be ridiculous, and we just don't know how ridiculous. This is just an estimate. But at the end of the day, it's not just going to have all the data we're training it with right now, but it might just have access to the internet. Again, we don't know, but as the competition heats up over the course of the year, some of these players will be forced to plug this into the internet and to give the consumers the best possible product in order to compete. And talking about content, let's talk about AI-generated content that will definitely be another big trend happening this year. Music,
so yeah, I agree with GPT-4.
Where at the very
Nothing
least
much to say about that.
Generated by AI, but in the case of movies, you could easily write an entire movie script with AI and then generate storyboards with Midjourney that you could then reenact. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of this. It's a massive opportunity to create the first fully AI generated movie, right? And I'm sure people are working on this, and not just working, rushing, because some of these opportunities will only be really valuable when you're the first one to do it. If you're second, you might as well be 200th. And that's why I think we're going to see our first AI generated movie in 2023. Now, on the way easier side is generating books or musical symphonies with AI, right? You have these voice generators that are really good in the case of some artists, and then people are plugging this new tech into all types of software. And I think this is one of the big opportunities of the year, because the attention is there. People are really curious. Wow, AI, okay, what can it do? What can it do for me? It actually generated this image. Wow, that's an AI generated song. That's actually really good. All of this is a novelty. Novel things that are useful and naturally spark a human's attention, right? So I see a ton of opportunities happening across all of media, YouTube included. If you know how to use this thing, just the level of quality you're able to deliver as a content creator is unmatched if you're using some of these tools to research and prepare your videos. And before we move on to the next one, I want to talk about AI AI-powered games, which are way further down the line, obviously, but it's years, not decades, right? And what I mean by that is like these role-playing games where every character has like a chat GPT built in, and when you talk to it, it has a legit personality and can answer any question, and not just one of 5 questions that you get to pick from. As an avid gamer and concretely
NPCs
RPG
aren't
enjoyer,
really new.
I can't wait for the moment when I plug into one of these worlds that are actually alive, where you can use a mic to communicate with the characters around you. Now, if you take that even a step further and do an MMORPG, you're gonna have a bunch of human characters, and then all of these NPCs are gonna have personalities of their own that can actually interact with you. But that's a whole different rabbit hole to go down, but I would expect Meta to be at the forefront of this, because their entire metaverse idea is kind of like an MMORPG on steroids, and if you add this AI tech into, let's say, interactive NPCs, you're quickly gonna get products that we've just never seen before. And that leads me to the next one, which is a very important one, and that is that many scams are gonna pop up around.
Yeah, so the idea that you're gonna have NPCs that are gonna be AI generated, again, you're not gonna be able to tell what's real and what's fake unless it becomes something that is actually presented that way, where you're talking to a bot versus talking to a real human. It becomes even more important for you to have a decentralized identification in that kind of world, because the way the internet works now, you can be talking to just a bot and not even know it. People can be anonymous online and you wouldn't even know who they are, what they are. You might think you're talking to a girl, but you're talking to a guy, So this is going to this kind of world where there's actually going to be somebody behind it, which you won't be able to tell whether they're a real person or not. Again, is going to be dangerous. And I could see the possibility for people really becoming confused, if not feeling manipulated by the prospects of these types of programs. Think of the commercial opportunity to talk to a bot who is actually from a famous pharmaceutical company that is recommending that you do certain things in order to be able to stay healthy. Imagine the possibilities of a new movie that's coming out and how this bot is telling you about this great movie you should go see. This is the kind of thing that everybody's really wetting at the chops to get at. This is what they're really looking for. That's going to be a dangerous world. It's even worse than today, to be honest. If we can take this kind of power with AI and be able to make it so that it's something that you personally can be able to utilize rather than being in the hands of a commercial interest, we have something good. I think then we have something that people can use in a way that's going to be not necessarily safe, but something that's going to be more empowering, something that's going to lead to greater outcomes versus leaving it in the hands of something like Meta to then broker it out to all their advertisers and all the companies that are paying for NPC space, right? And imagine, this isn't just going to be in the metaverse, this is going to be in all the games, according to this, right? So yeah, this is a world that this kind of AI world where it's integrated into where you're going to be able to have live interactions is not a world that people are prepared for in any way. So I'm hoping that that's not where it's going to go. And as far as laws are concerned, like he was talking about earlier, yeah, that's something that has to get worked out because there are no laws in regards to this. It is illegal to be able to use content in this way so far. But I'm sure that's going to change really quickly. And hey, that can change in terms of how you do your art. I think part of the problem is the way the system works now and how artists are plugged into the system in order to be able to try to protect their art. It doesn't really offer them protection in this case, where if they were to use something like a blockchain solution, right, where they're no longer dependent on systems like this to enforce things that they claim to be their rights, then they're going to be able to enable those protections without the need of some kind of third party. So that is part of the promise of what blockchain has to offer, and part of why anyone who is interested in protecting their particular intellectual property should be using blockchain as part of their strategy for being able to handle what's going to happen with AI, right? Don't wait for others to protect you, okay? When you can protect yourself using the tools that you have on hand. So that's what we're here to do. So anyways, those are some of my thoughts on it. Let's see what all the AI scams are about. This should be good.
entire topic. And it just makes sense. We're entering uncharted territory. People don't know what to expect, and therefore they're more vulnerable to malicious actors. And honestly, we're already seeing this all across the content space. And if you look at all these new AI apps, a lot of them are either on the edge of the gray zone, or in my books, even beyond that gray zone, where it's just a clear grift. I mean, putting up an app in the Android App Store where you simply plug ChatGPT into it and charge $8 a month, in my books is not fine. Even a member of my family just sent me a video of, wow, look at this amazing AI app. It's just $8 a month and you can refer friends to get free credits. And all it is ChatGPT with like a graphical user interface. I mean, fair enough. That one is still in the gray zone because it gives you the added value of some of these presets, but you might as well watch videos like this and find out about them yourselves and save your $8 for something more meaningful. So just be on the lookout for scams and fake experts increasingly streaming into the space, as the hype around this tech is very, very real, but for a good reason. This is actually game-changing technology, which we need to master and not ignore. And that brings me to my next point, and that is the rise of prompt engineers. Now, if you're still not familiar with the prompt, that is essentially the question you put into the AI so it generates an answer. And what I see already happening is people that are advanced with their prompting getting a serious advantage over the people that completely ignore this. And yes, just simply integrating ChatGPT into your daily workflows gives you an advantage over everybody else. That's just a fact. But what I mean with this prediction is that people that go deeper and become advanced at prompting some of these, becoming invaluable assets to a lot of businesses. Think of it like a consultant with 40 years of experience, because once you're able to ask the right questions, these language models will deliver answers that go beyond anything that a human could come up with in 2 seconds. A true superpower. And as you might know, this entire channel is based around teaching you those superpowers so you can get the advantage you deserve. And at this point, I just have to point out that I have an ebook that will help you get towards that. And all that ebook is my very best attempt at teaching you how to ask the right questions. By the way, I'm creating a short video training that will be free for everybody that buys the book. Plus, you get all future updates for free. But now let's talk about my last prediction for this year.
Let's hold it right there before he gets into that. That's interesting because the quality. So what's happening now is the quality is interesting because a lot of people think that because of AI, we're all going to, become useless, useless eaters, and we're no longer going to be needed. But he's talking about how the importance of our ability to prompt AI for information is becoming more of a skill than other things. So your ability to be able to form really good questions and then be able to input that and be able to get really good answers is a superpower in itself. It is a valuable skill now. That's not something that you had even a few years ago. You could try to search around Google and things like that, but it's not going to do what an AI is going to do in a few seconds, right? So this is now a new territory where, like he said, consultants and people who know what they're doing are going to be able to ask the right questions and then get the right answers, which is a principle in life. You ask the right questions to get the right answers. A lot of people in life go through life asking the wrong questions. Why am I fat? Why am I poor? Why am I this? And then, of course, you're going to get the wrong answer when you ask questions like that. If you ask the right question, how can I improve my life? How can I get healthy? Then you start to get answers that are going to lead to better outcomes, right? And that's all a matter of asking the right question. You ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers. Wrong questions, wrong answers. And when it comes to ChatGPT and it comes to AI, it's going to become more important for you to be able to get those questions right. So if there's anything I could say to the younger generation right now, get really good at asking good questions and understanding how important the right kind of questions are, not just for you personally in your life and being able to grow and thrive in this world, but for how you're going to deal with your AI. And I said your AI, because I believe all of this is going to come down to everybody having their own AI. And that AI is going to become like a companion to them, just like he's talking about. Like right now, they're using, like, consultants are able to turn out this stuff and you're going to see the first movie and everything else. Sure. But it's going to be something that will help us with everything else we do. So your advantage will be being able to have that input from the AI, but that is only going to be as good as the questions you ask it. Your life is only as good as the questions you ask in life. So it will be too with AI. Simply put, I think that's awesome. I think that this is really good. I think this is actually a real plus for AI because if anything, now, hey, got to up your game. You got to get good at questions. So here's a reason, because if you don't get good at using those questions with your AI, you're going to be left in the dust. You're going to have all these other guys eating your lunch because they're able to ask the right questions and get the right answers. And the AI is helping them to do that in ways you can't even come close. So I think this is good. I think this is something that everybody has an opportunity to get good at. But guess what? After everybody knows how to answer, how to do the same kind of thing, what's going to happen? Well, now everyone's going to be able to get the same kind of results. So what then? You're going to have to get better, have to get better, have to get better. And the difference between you and everybody else just has to be 1%. The difference between the Olympic runner winning and getting the gold and or coming in third or coming in second is literally milliseconds. Like sometimes it's milliseconds, sometimes it's like half a second difference in terms of being able to cross that finish line first. It's a 1% difference. That's all it takes. In terms of Olympic athletes in general, they literally are just a few percentage points better than the next guy, right? But that's the difference. And that's all you got to do in general in life to be able to like really come out on top in most cases, in a lot of cases, not everything, obviously. So yeah, this is a good thing for AI. That's all I got. That's all really I got to say about that. I hope we can see more of this. I hope this is going to help people to get really good at asking questions, because this could lead to a lot of really good things in terms of what he's talking about. On the flip side, the verity of information that the AI is operating from will be very important. And what he hasn't touched on here is something that I know about what's happened already with ChatGPT, is that a lot of the data has been groomed. And what I mean by that is certain questions that you ask ChatGPT will get you a certain political answer. Okay? That's not right. That's not what it should be doing. But the people who control it have decided that they want to have certain outputs of their choosing, of what they would prefer, right? And in that case, that becomes very dangerous, because that allows for the people who actually maintain the database that the AI gets to be able to decide what kind of output it's going to have, which is going to lead to their own political outcomes that they want to see. This becomes really bad when everybody who uses AIs in this form are going to get the answer, and even if it's the wrong answer, well, the AI said it and it knows better than you. That is what's dangerous about this. That is the flip side of all the good stuff I just praised about it, is that if we don't have verity of information being fed into these AIs, then we're going to have a disinformation sort of a situation being outputted. Garbage in, garbage out, right? We have certain hands deciding what the answers are going to be. This allows for anyone, not anyone, the people who control these, in this case, he seems to talk about Meta quite a bit, to be able to decide on what historical events took place when you ask certain questions. What are what kind of outcomes happened in this period in history when you ask certain questions? What is the tell us about this person, tell us about this policy, tell us about, you start to ask questions that lead to outcomes that maybe certain parties don't want you to know or don't want you to understand in a certain light. Then you're gonna have then you have something that is very bad, very bad. And the scary thing is that by then, the whole generation of people who know how to ask questions are expecting that whatever the answer is must be true, right? Just like how so many people will show me on the internet what, where this thing is. And if it's not on the internet, well, I guess it's just not true. Like that happens today too, right? But meanwhile, some people understand that Google is groomed too. Google decides on what kind of results they're going to show you. If you actually, here's a scary thing. You could actually see from Google's search results, you can go down page after page after page, and eventually all those millions of results they talk about actually just keep showing the first couple of results. Like you won't be able to access the rest of the internet. If you're really looking for something. So the internet has been actually shrunken by Google into its select choice of certain websites, and the rest of it that's out there, you're never going to be able to reach it through their search engine, right? AI will be able to do the same thing. AI is doing the same thing just on the ChatGPT already. So that's already a clear and present danger. This is why we need blockchain. This is why the verity of information that goes into the AI, I want to know that it has not been tampered with by a third party. I want to know that it has gotten all the information and not been played with. Right now, that's not the case. So I'm really hoping that becomes a trend in the near future, because we'll be walking into basically a huge mess, and then it's only going to be after the fact that people are going to try to clean it up, which, given the way that things are going these days, is probably likely what's going to take place. So, anyways, let's see what his last prediction is.
It's called the AllIn Podcast, and on the latest episode, they just had one of the highest quality discussion around the state of AI today. And if you enjoyed this video, I bet that you would love that conversation. And what they brought up is that AI might turn into a commodity over the course of the next year here. Now, what that means is that so many competitors are going to enter the market in 2023 that OpenAI will not remain the only cool kid on the block. With major players like Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Facebook entering the game here soon, we will witness a literal race to deliver killer apps. And Google is the wildcard here because they are already king in the category of search. And in the podcast, they brought up the fascinating topic of how Google is actually the one interested in scorching the earth, as they said, aka releasing a model to the public which sets all things equal and allows them to remain king. In other words, there's massive incentives at play at making this freely available, just like Stable Diffusion is right now with AI art generation. And once it's freely available, everyone can build on it and everybody can integrate it. And if all these language models are at one level, Google will still have the upper hand with the best search because they're number one already. And this kind of brings together all the predictions we've been talking about here. Because if these companies are going to be one-upping each other and bringing things to market faster and better, at the end of the year, we're going to find out that it was a fantastic year for the consumer. You and me, we're going to get to use a lot of this cutting-edge tech. In the 90s, for example, a lot of the best technology was protected and safeguarded by companies like IBM, and they profited from all the benefits. But here, if you keep your eyes open and you stay up to date with all the latest things in AI, there's a realistic chance of you getting that advantage, the AI advantage. All right, so if you want to take action now, there's this video that you can watch that will teach you some of these techniques that will get.
Okay, so those are his. Seven non-hyped AI trends, and I tend to agree that a lot of them. We already said some of them aren't going to happen in 2023, but these are some big trends that are happening. To be honest, they are not. They are bigger than ChatGPT in some cases. ChatGPT is a good example of one way that it's captured everyone's attention, essentially. Scary thing about ChatGPT, though, is that or OpenAI in general, is that it has recently been invested by Microsoft to the tune of $10 billion. They're looking to integrate this into the Bing browser, which nobody uses right now. Sorry, not the Bing browser. Sorry, they're integrating into the Bing search engine, which nobody uses. Very few people use it anyway. It's your grandma that just doesn't know how to change the default settings. And so they're doing all this to be able to compete with Google. And obviously, he's saying that Google is going to come in and try to offer something that's going to be open and free to everybody. I say to this all sounds good on the surface, but as long as these big companies will have an interest and will be powering what the AI knows and is able to say, then you're going to have problems. And you know what? While these guys may come out with it first, I think in the end, you're going to see a decentralization of AI in itself, where people are going to be able to create their own AIs, not from their platforms that they're going to censor what your AI can know or not know, but instead being able to have your own AIs that are going to work alongside you, like your friend, and they're going to be able to reflect your own values, your own views, your own information, as well as the world of information out there, to be able to decide what is valuable and what isn't, to decide what is ethical and what isn't, to be able to decide what kind of choices you make that are important to you rather than what is in the commercial interest of these big companies. I think that's where things will go beyond these current trends. These current trends might be what's happening now as we go through this transition in time. But in the future, you're going to see AI and blockchain come together, and you're going to see tools for individuals to empower them to utilize that in ways that are going to go way beyond what our friend here said today in terms of these other 7 trends, not to mention ChatGPT. But I think that if anything, these trends are good in terms of like what we're seeing in terms of what can be possible. It's allowing a lot of people to wake up to the realities of what this new technology could bring. However, I think that, I can understand why he's trying to make it all positive and things like that, but there are dangers. There are clear and present dangers that how this technology is used can be absolutely bad news for the masses. On the other hand, you couple this up with blockchain, pour in some decentralization, and you got yourself some powerful tools to be able to help individuals like you to be able to actually thrive in this world in ways that will that big corporations like the ones he talked about won't be able to manipulate and won't be able to hold down, right? So we could see potentially a shift from these centralized entities making all these decisions to a decentralization, to a re-centralization in the AI world. So should be interesting one way or another. So those are my thoughts on it. They're just my thoughts. I'm sure you have some too. If you do, please leave them in the comments, like and subscribe so that we can talk about those in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.